What if I had told you that Cardano's biggest weakness might already have a secret fix? Well, there's this mysterious project called Midnight that could be about to solve problems that we never thought Cardano could overcome. And hardly anyone is actually talking about it. So, I was scrolling through crypto news, minding my own business, when I see Charles Hoskinson, the founder of Cardano, bragging about something called Midnight. Now, he's out here calling Midnight the most game-changing project in Cardano's history. Now, my first reaction was, all right, Charles, that's a pretty bold claim, right? What makes this so special? I mean, Cardano's been around for years, slowly building, getting criticized for being too slow or missing pieces, right? And if there's really a project that can transform the whole Cardano ecosystem, then I needed to find out what's actually going on. And let me tell you, right, once I pulled on that thread, I discovered a story that I think every Cardano holder and hater needs to hear. Let's start with the problem. Cardano, for all of its strengths, great security, academic approach, loyal community, it has a couple of glaring weak spots. Right, so if you've been around a while, then you know that what I'm talking about here, right? It's oracles and it's stablecoins. So what are they? Sure, right? Cardano has some oracle projects, like Charlie 3, not a fan personally, and that newer one, called 𝗗𝗶𝘀𝗰𝗍𝗋. But let's be honest, right? Have you ever really used them? Yeah, me neither, right? And neither has most people, right? Now, they just kind of haven't gained any traction. And stablecoins on Cardano? Well, there are a few, like ZED and USDA. But compared to other ecosystems, well, Cardano's stablecoin scene is pretty tiny. I looked it up and get this. Cardano ranks 48th among blockchains in stablecoin market cap. So, with only around about $37.5 million in stablecoins on the network. So, 48th. That's basically a rounding error compared to Ethereum's stablecoin empire of over $160 billion, or even Tron's $78 billion. So it's kind of like Cardano brought a kind of pocket knife to a bazooka fight in the stablecoin arena. And that's been a pretty big deal because without robust stablecoins or reliable oracles, your DeFi ecosystem is kind of stuck in, well, first gear. Don't get me wrong, I love Cardano. I even run a Cardano stake pool, right? But more on that a bit later. And as a community, right, we've been pretty patient with this stuff, right? We kept hearing slow and steady, it wins the race, right? Meanwhile, of course, other networks are zooming ahead in DeFi because, well, they have these kind of pieces in place already. So if Cardano wants to compete seriously with Ethereum, Solana, and the rest of it, then it has to get this stuff figured out. And that's kind of why Hoskinson's hype about Midnight actually kind of got my attention. It sounds like Midnight is being positioned as the answer to some of these long-standing issues. Alright then, so you might be thinking, what is Midnight? The name sounds like some kind of top secret operation, and honestly, that's probably not that far off. Right? Midnight is a new privacy-focused sidechain in the Cardano ecosystem. So think of it as a bit of an add-on network that runs alongside Cardano. But here is the kicker. Its native token, called Night, is actually a Cardano native token itself. So Midnight is built to be its own thing, focusing on privacy and data protection for people who really need it. But it plugs into the Cardano level at the base, right? Or at least at the base level. So it's kind of like Cardano opened a secret nightclub called Midnight, where all the cool privacy kind of conscious kids will kind of go and hang out, right? But they still have to use Cardano's ID to get on in. Now, Charles Hoskinson is never one for understatements, so hearing him say something like that, it kind of made me raise a bit of an eyebrow. Now, we've all heard grand promises in crypto before, right? But as I kind of dug deeper, I found some reasons that Charles might actually have a point this time around. Because Midnight isn't just an idea or a white paper promise, is it? It's actually doing things differently when it comes to getting people on board. First off, Midnight is coming out swinging with partnerships, right? And not just one or two, no. Hoskinson mentioned that Midnight has struck over 100 partnerships, that is, with various different companies and projects, averaging about one deal every 3 days. So you can let that sink in. Basically, every 3 days, Midnight inks a new collaboration. Now that is pretty wild, right? It's kind of like the project managers had a New Year's resolution, right, to fill up their Rolodex, or something like that. And these aren't no-name partnerships either. Some pretty big names are on the list, right? We're talking about Brave, blockchain.com, bitcoin.com, even Google Cloud. Yes, Google Cloud is in the mix. So when I saw that, my jaw dropped just a bit. You don't usually see Google associated with an up-and-coming blockchain project. So why do these partnerships really matter? Well, here's the genius part, because every Midnight partnership is effectively a Cardano partnership in disguise, because Midnight runs on Cardano's tech. So any company that integrates with Midnight inevitably has to touch Cardano as well. Now, Hoskinson basically said, look, Midnight is a Cardano native token. So if, let's say, Brave integrates Midnight features, they're indirectly integrating Cardano. It's a bit like a Trojan horse strategy for adoption. So Midnight is sneaking Cardano into rooms that Cardano couldn't get into by itself. Now, I find that kind of brilliant, right? Instead of trying to convince every big player to adopt Cardano outright, a kind of tough sell at some times, right? Cardano is actually offering Midnight as a privacy solution that happens to boost Cardano usage behind the scenes. It's pretty clever, right? And let's be real, right? Privacy blockchain has a nice little ring to it in an era where everyone is talking about data protection, right? It gives Cardano a new narrative, a way to say, hey, we can do the privacy stuff that enterprises might need, not just the public ledger stuff, right? So these 100 plus partnerships, they aren't just fluff or for press release. They could actually translate into real usage. Now, it's one thing for Cardano to have great tech, and it's another for big companies to actually want to use it. Now, Midnight might be the gateway drug here, so to speak, right? That gets a hell of a lot more players hooked on Cardano without them even realizing it at first. Now, partnerships aside, Hoskinson straight up claims that Midnight will fix some of Cardano's biggest technical and adoption challenges, specifically naming oracles and stablecoins. Now, as I mentioned earlier, right, Cardano hasn't had a lot of luck in those areas so far. Now, Hoskinson pointed out that our current Oracle solutions, haven't seen much of an uptake, right? Midnight, he says, changes that game, right? He didn't spell out or spill all of the technical beans, if you will, and details on how, but Charles can be a little bit of a coy like that at times, but he has expressed a whole ton of confidence that Midnight's going to actually bring in the activity and features that we need to bridge all of those gaps. So, how could that work? Right? Here's my take. Right? Maybe some of those partnerships involve Oracle providers or data companies that will plug into Midnight, giving Cardano a flood of real-world data finally. Or maybe because Midnight can handle sensitive data privately, more projects will feel safe using Cardano for things like stablecoins that need compliance-friendly privacy. The truth is that we're just going to have to wait and see. Now, it's one thing to say Midnight will boost these sectors where Cardano falls short, but I'm very eager to see concrete evidence of it. Still, just the fact that Hoskinson is addressing these pain points head-on is actually quite refreshing. It's an admission that, yeah, Cardano needs a push in these areas, and Midnight, it could be that push. I mean, let's think about stablecoins, right? Cardano being 48th in stablecoin market cap is pretty brutal. Hoskinson believes that Midnight will significantly improve that. Maybe Midnight has, something to attract stablecoin issuers or to make Cardano more attractive for stablecoin liquidity. Possibly right? Because Midnight's privacy angle could actually appeal to institutions that might want to issue stablecoins or need certain transactions to be confidential. Again, it's speculative here, but the optimism from the top is rather notable. Another jaw-dropper is that Hoskinson claims that Midnight's token Knight will be the first Cardano native token to be listed on every major exchange. And he says it's inevitable, right? As someone who's been around for a few hype cycles, I usually roll my eyes at inevitable talk. But given those partnerships and the narrative here, I wouldn't be surprised if Coinbase, Binance, etc. all jump on listing Knight when it launches. If that happens, think of the exposure, right? Everyone on those exchanges will suddenly see a Cardano ecosystem token front and center. It's like the Trojan horse marketing for Cardano. People might go, what is this Knight thing on Binance? Oh, it's related to Cardano. Interesting. But it could be huge for bringing people into Cardano's world, especially if they missed the ADA train and wrote Cardano off. I also think that this indicates that Midnight might launch with a level of maturity that most projects don't normally have at birth. Now, usually you launch a token, prove yourself in a market, then maybe get listed. But here, it's kind of like they're lining up the red carpet before the premiere, right? It kind of shows confidence and probably that those partners and maybe even big exchanges have been in talks for a while. This gives me the ICP, the Internet Protocol kind of vibes, where it launched on all major exchanges at the same time. And if it wasn't for FTX, well, who knows how far that could have gone. So when all this kind of happening? Very soon, apparently, right? The mainnet for Midnight is set to go live by the end of this year, right? So that's not long. It's just around the corner. Actually, they have just finished a big airdrop called the Glacier drop too, which you should have taken advantage of. I mean, picture this, right? 24 billion Knight tokens scattered across 8 different blockchains. Like, they literally airdropped it to people across multiple different ecosystems, meaning that not only Cardano people, but maybe even Ethereum, XRP, Solana, Polygon, and others got some of this if they were eligible. Talk about casting a pretty wide net. Now, they're into something called the scavenger mine phase, right? It sounds a bit like a mini game for crypto. So if you've missed the airdrop, you can still earn some Knight by doing some simple computational tasks. It's kind of like a treasure hunt for leftover tokens. Now, I actually think it's kind of fun way to engage people leading up to the launch. Now, this phase, it rolled out, is pretty smart if you think about it, because by the time that Midnight actually officially launches, a whole ton of people will be already be kind of holding the token, knowing that the project and ready to use it or to even trade it. That built-in hype and user base might be why so many exchanges are basically looking to give it a bit of a running start. So all of this, right? The partnerships, the big promises, the exchange listings, the airdrop, it all paints a picture of a project that, could genuinely supercharge Cardano's ecosystem. As someone who's been following Cardano for a long time, this is actually probably one of the most excited that I've been in a while, right? It's almost like watching a plot twist in your favorite show. Cardano, the slow and steady underdog, suddenly is finding a secret weapon that addresses its biggest flaws. Now, didn't see that one coming, right? And it's fair to say that I'm optimistic, but I'm also keep reminding myself to stay grounded too, right? We've seen hype in crypto fizzle before, so I'm hyped and I'm cautious, if that really makes sense. Now, before I get on to some personal steps that I'm taking in light of all of this, let me slide in the absolute crucial reminder, a little bit of a reality check for all of us. Now, this might just shock you, but I'm not a financial advisor and nothing in this video is financial advice. Cryptocurrencies, they are highly volatile and you could lose all of the money that you invest. You should always do your own research and consult a qualified professional. After all, your investments are entirely your responsibility and you should know that nothing is ever guaranteed when it comes to investing. Neither I, this channel, nor YouTube are liable for any losses, and this video is for entertainment and educational purposes only. All right, I'm glad that we got that out of the way. Now, let me share what I'm doing and how I'm positioned here, because I don't just talk the talk, I like to walk it too. First up, as I hinted, I run a Cardano stake pool. The ticker is 𝗗𝗌, that's CHEEK. And if you do hold ADA and it's just sitting in your wallet doing nothing, then you really should consider staking it. Staking with a pool like mine doesn't lock your ADA up. You are free to move it at any time, but while you are delegating, you are earning rewards. It's basically making your ADA work harder for you instead of just waiting for the price to hopefully go up. Plus, you're also contributing to the security and the decentralization of the network. So if you're already staking with another pool, but maybe you want to support the channel here, well, what can you do? Well, you can move your delegation over to the 𝗗𝗌 pool, and that would be pretty awesome. Those rewards that you get come from the protocol. They're not from your stash or anything like that. So it is really a win-win. So you get more ADA over time, of course, and it supports the channel here, and it supports, of course, Cardano's network. And it's very much needed to kind of keep creating content like this. So if you do, I appreciate it. Now, something else that I've learned in crypto is to always have a backup plan, and a backup for your backup plan. Sounds crazy, I know, but hey, this especially applies to the crypto exchanges. Now, if Midnight is going to be on every single major exchange as promised, that's going to be great. But you never know when an exchange might halt the withdrawals or go down for maintenance at the worst possible time too. Now, I've made it a personal strategy to sign up and KYC if needed on as many reputable exchanges as possible, where it's legal for me to do so, that is. Right? Before, of course, I actually need them, it's great to have access to them. That way, if one exchange freezes or has issues, I can quickly just shift to another one. So think of it like having plan A, B, and C, and even D in place. I keep a little bit on each of them if I need to test them out, learn the interface, so that I'm not scrambling if I utterly and urgently do need to trade and to move my funds around. So for example, right, I've been using BitGet lately. It's kind of a newer one, I guess, a newer exchange maybe, that I have been playing with for the last couple of years. And yes, full disclosure, right? We do have affiliate links for these exchanges, right? Now, I use Binance, Coinbase, LBank, Kraken, Blowfin, and many others as well, right? Now, there is a link in the description down below that takes you over to our website. And on that link and on our website, you'll find all of the affiliate links for all of the exchanges that I have used myself. Now, all of the exchanges I have listed on my website, which is linked in the description below. The point is really this, that after seeing several different exchanges outages over the years and surprises, right, I sleep much better knowing that I have multiple different options at the ready. And I highly recommend that you consider that approach, especially with exciting new tokens like Night in the coming is coming to the exchanges, right? You don't want to be stuck on a platform that doesn't have access to Night when you want to trade it. So check out the link in the description. If you do use those links, I really appreciate it. It costs you nothing extra, supports the channel, and I'd like to say thank you in advance. And here's another thing, right? Speaking of earning crypto, in new and innovative ways, that many of you guys probably already know that I have been exploring a project called Unity. Now, I don't want to go too deep here since it's not the main focus of today, but it's something that's pretty cool and I'm doing it on the side. Now, Unity is basically a project that is kind of running the telecoms networks or powered by crypto in a way, right? Basically, you verify the telecoms network using smartphones, right? So just imagine a bunch of smartphones helping to verify or maybe even carry network signals, and you get paid crypto for helping out. It's kind of like your phone could mine crypto by doing some useful work on the phone networks. Now, I got myself a Unity node a little while ago, which came with 200 licenses. Now, that means I had the capacity to connect up to 200 phones to my node. Now, I'm not about to go out and buy 200 smartphones, and do that. No, I'm starting small once the Unity app actually goes live. I have a plan to set up these 10 phones right here to test it first. And if that works and it's profitable as it kind of is advertised, then I'm going to scale it up gradually. The cool part is this though, right? That I can choose what I'm going to be paid in, right? They're not just giving me some random token. I'm going to be able to choose things like Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, and even Cardano's ADA. I would earn the ADA and stake it to kind of get a flywheel going, right? And all this stuff is just to build up a stack of it over time. So if all this works out, it's kind of like a way of passively stacking more crypto just by having some smartphones do some work passively for me. But as always, you should do your own research on all of this stuff. I've put some links in the description for the Unity website, the light paper, and their rewards calculator so that you guys can read up on it. It's not guaranteed money or anything like that, of course. And you can feel free to hop into our free educational Discord. The link is in the description as well if you want to discuss it more. They have a whole bunch of people in the Discord already talking and setting up their Unity rigs. So they'll share some tips with you if you ask. Now, because I believe in the Unity project, I actually doubled down on this. I actually purchased some more Unity nodes as well. So why a few more? Well, aside from, being a little bit of a tech nerd myself, this actually opens up the opportunity for you guys. Now, I know that not everyone can or wants to drop $5,000 on a Unity node, right? It can be quite expensive. So with the son of new nodes I've bought here, I'm planning to lease them out, or lease the licenses out to the community members who are genuinely curious about Unity, but only want to run maybe a couple of phones or so. This way, you wouldn't actually need to go ahead and buy an expensive NFT for yourself. You could essentially go ahead and rent a license from me, run the Unity app on your own phone, and still earn a share of the rewards. Now, we'll have more information on all of this and how it all works on our website, also linked in the description and down in the free educational Discord server. So you can check those out if you're interested. And here is a sweet little bonus for you guys, by the way. Unity have announced that holders of 3 or more Unity nodes get double the rewards for the first 6 months. So between me and my brother, we've got more than 3 nodes hooked up, which means that any licenses leased from us will benefit from that 2x reward boost, that introductory kind of period. So it's a pretty great way to kind of kickstart earnings for anyone who is hopping on. Again, there is no pressure for any of this. Unity is not for everyone, but I want to throw it out there because I've mentioned Unity in a lot of my videos at this point, and many of you guys are following its progress. It's something that I'm genuinely excited about, and it's kind of like a side quest to my Cardano journey. All right, let's get back to the bigger picture. After seeing all of this stuff, I had a little bit of an epiphany here, that Cardano might finally be ready to break out of its shell. Now, I know that sounds a bit dramatic, right? But the story of Midnight truly does feel like a turning point. Let's think about it, right? For years, critics said that Cardano has no DeFi, it has no stablecoins, it has no oracles, it's never going to catch up. But now, in one fell swoop, Midnight is, set to kind of tackle all of that, right? And bring in major players through partnerships. It's kind of like the narrative is flipping overnight. There's no pun intended there, of course. But Cardano went from being the kind of tortoise in the race, the slow and the steady, to, well, still a tortoise. But now the tortoise has a jetpack named Midnight strapped to its shell. Now, suddenly, at the finish line, it doesn't look that far away. Now, the skeptic in me is still whispering, of course, is this too good to be true? Can one project really do all of this? And honestly, those are pretty fair questions, right? Maybe Midnight won't fulfill every single promise. Maybe it boosts the stablecoins, but the oracles take longer. Or the other way around. Maybe some partnerships don't yield big results immediately. Now, that's all possible, right? But even if Midnight only accomplishes half of what is on the table, it could dramatically change Cardano's trajectory. Now, this is the first time in a long time that I've seen such a kind of concentrated, multifaceted effort to level up Cardano's ecosystem. And that is why I'm sharing this story so passionately with you guys, because it genuinely feels like we're at an inflection point. So, to wrap all of this up, here is my takeaway. Cardano's identified its weaknesses, and instead of pretending that they don't exist, it's actually tackling them head-on with Midnight. Now, we're looking at a privacy sidechain that brings in new tech, new partnerships, and potentially millions of new users into the fold. Now, if Midnight succeeds, it could really bring better Oracle solutions, better stablecoin usage, and broad adoption via those partnerships. So then Cardano won't just be keeping up with other smart contract platforms, it might actually leapfrog them in some areas. Now, it could be looking at a future where people reference Cardano as the example of how to do a major ecosystem expansion correctly. I'm kind of personally excited about this, as you can probably tell. But remember, right, nothing is guaranteed in crypto. Still, I think that this story, from identifying a problem to implementing a solution, is actually something that the whole crypto world might take note of. It's an inspiring example of not just waiting for adoption to come, but going out there and making it actually happen. Now, in the next few weeks, as Midnight rolls out, I'm going to be watching closely and probably doing an update or two along the way. And hey, maybe we'll even get a live chat on Discord during the launch to see how it all goes. Now, if you found this video insightful and want to join me for the next chapter of the adventure, make sure to smash the like button and hit subscribe. And thanks for hanging out with me today. I will catch you all in the next one.